And then the last thing I'll talk about is real-time monitoring. And again, I think this is particularly important in those places where um, change in the posture or the security posture of the application wouldn't be driven by changes to code, right? So if you figure that, I've gone ahead and checked in code, pulled those, those dependencies in, I understand sort of the software composition here, and it's locked in until I actually do another deployment, or I change that deployment and start the process over again. The dynamic elements, though, of this are still ahead of us, right? So vulnerability management, as an example, right? So when we look at things like vulnerabilities, and consistently as the software is moving through your process, are there new vulnerabilities? Are there changes to the vulnerabilities that you already are tracking? Was there a new exploit discovered? Did they bump up in severity? Same thing with, when we start thinking about artifacts and, making sure that we're able to check, is the artifact that was delivered from the build system the same artifact that's a candidate for deployment from my repository? And then lastly, the other dynamic piece of this is, the Terraform code. So was the Terraform code changed, or was the Kubernetes manifest changed? All that stuff can happen all the way up to sort of that deployment to production. So getting to a place where you have that continuous monitoring and not just point in time checks is critical. And that's something that I think, we've embraced here in terms of the way we present the data to our customers and the way we give them the ability to go ahead and actually interact with the data and also take action, right? So, we're also a system of record when it comes to things like providing exceptions, right? So if I decide, hey, this is non-fixable, or this is something that I need to wait for an upstream fix, I don't want to delay my release, so I want to go ahead and actually apply or put in for an exception that would ultimately resolve this in a time box fashion. So again, those are all dynamic elements that are, we need our customers to be able to react to. Thus, the data that we're presenting them is going to reflect the dynamic nature of the situation as software moves through the process. And again, I think the other thing that's important here is that you've got tooling that sort of has that those levels of integration, right? So for us, we break up our tooling into source, build, artifact, deploy, and then we actually add a category in there around alerting and communication, right? But I think, this is just a fraction of the tools that we actually support. But if you think about it, this is a nice representation of some of the open source tooling that we're supporting there, along with, the commercial tools like JFrog and Sneak, embracing those folks as partners, because at the end of the day, we want to take the data that they're producing and make sure that it's actionable and make sure that it doesn't get overlooked as part of the larger process. So just to recap, guys, and then I'll stop and turn it back over to Mark for questions. I'm hoping that, we walked away today with the idea that application security posture management, whatever you want to call it, right? And whether the analyst came up with the name or whatnot, but the concepts are critical to a security program. Visibility is critical, right? And choosing a tool that provides that level of visibility. People will only fix what they can see, right? The rest of it sort of slips through the cracks. A natural fit is making it part of your deployment process. And then to that end, the collaboration cross-function and having a system of record or a system that facilitates that collaboration. And then obviously the last bullet that I put there is operational transparency is critical. This cannot put more load on the people that need to, the developers for one, and then other people that need to interact with it. It should be a seamless part. It should make their jobs easier, not more complicated, right? And I think that's the other thing. If you're thinking about a measuring stick and you're asking yourself, how do I evaluate these tools? I think that's one of the most critical things I can leave you with, is that idea that this should make everyone's job easier, not harder.